Take Our Border Back Convoy. And we have Mark Anthony here with us. Mark, tell us a little bit about your background. This is your first time you've been on. We've done a show together. Now I've known you. I've met you at events. We've talked several times. You're quite the security guy and all around patriot. So give us a little bit of background on you.
Well, I in security, and I do a lot of investigations behind the scenes in Patriot America, and it's my it's my honor to have people like yourself and being able to stand around and watch and protect those people, and that's mainly what I do. I'm connected to other teams, and we put those teams together, and it's more of a secure thing that obviously I can't go into too much detail about because it kind of gives
Mhm.
it away. But it's all about security, God, and country, and that's my main focus.
Nice, very nice. And my background, being the SEAL teams and SEAL Team 6 and work for the CIA and doing security for State Department and so forth. Uh, I can vouch for you as being way up there as far as like your knowledge level and your capabilities. And I was pretty impressed with what as far as like security these days, because these days things are changing very very quickly. uh, there's a lot of us that have been attacked on these truther tours, and some people have not survived. So one of the last events I was at, it was very nice to see you there, and you were like basically keeping a handle on everything. So good job.
I appreciate that. It's we're all in this together, and we have to look at we got to look after each other and everyone's backs. And like you said, there's been attacks, and we've lost really good patriots to these attacks.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, as you well as you know, I was attacked about 35 days ago and was on a ventilator for a very short period.
Hmm.
Luckily, I have an extra team behind me that got me in a place, and I was able to recover from it. But it's a real thing. Whether you get attacked by demonic spirits or you get attacked by a physical form of some type of spray or so forth, so on, or a touch. And people think that it's not really happening, but we know that it really is. I mean, we've watched
Hmm.
people
Oh yeah.
that literally have died, and it's horrific.
Yeah, definitely. And you're one of the few people that I know that realizes that people can have something on their probably some kind of coating on their hand so that they don't get affected, but they have some kind of device on their hand which basically transmits stuff. And I've been sickened a couple times by people coming up and shaking my hand. So you're one of the few people that I know that realizes that is a real thing. And unfortunately, you and probably the rest of us have been attacked that way. So it is an ongoing war that we're waging. Now, speaking of this war that we're in right now, let's talk about taking our border back, because it's we've gotten to the place now where I feel like we can't depend on politicians, military, law enforcement on their own. Now, I think that once they see us, the American public, starting to get proactive in larger and larger ways, January 6th basically kicked us back pretty good. So we need to recover from that. And I think this could be the thing that recovers us and starts to push us forward. What are your thoughts on this? Take our border back convoy.
So everybody's reached out to our our core, and there's a when I say we, this we is thousands. This is not just about it's not about me. So the new phrase is not about not about me, but we the people,
Mhm.
and everybody's starting to use that. And we the people have come together in assembly to put this together, and and we people said, well, why did this not happen before? Why did this not well, for one, we had January 6th that scared the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, scared them to the point they didn't feel like they wanted to do anything because they're scared about the government coming after them.
Hmm.
Well, here's the thing, guys. We're not in the District of Columbia. We're not on foreign territory anymore. We're in America. And every place that we have, we've gotten in with the sheriffs, we've gotten in with the local police departments, and these people are on board, even Border Patrol. These people are on board in these locations. Now, at first we talked about having it at one place in Arizona, but when we figured out that we were in jeopardy by being there, we shifted.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, everybody in each area, in each county that we've talked to and put this together with, have security skills beyond security skills to understand how, who's involved, and that we're going to be protected in these counties, in these groups. So that's why we went to these counties and these cities, because we knew that we'd be protected there.
Outstanding. And thanks for joining us, Louis Herms, Screw Big Gov. So it's, it's an amazing, coincidence that we're going to do this together. Mark Anthony, were you at January 6th? Were you there on that day?
I was not at January 6th on that day.
Okay. So Lewis and I were there, and we were meaning to hook up, but we never did, unfortunately, because they jammed the phones and everything. Lewis was very, very smart about that. He seemed to have intuition about that. He's like, let's do radios. And I'm like, that seems a little extreme. Why are we going to? But he was right. I should have listened to him. So Lewis, what are your thoughts on, January 6th and how we're kind of moving into this? Now you've been involved in a lot of different, events. You put on a lot of events. Mark Anthony was, part of your security at some events. So that's great. They were all involved in this together. I love it. What are your thoughts on J6 and this convoy? Is this convoy basically going to be the kickoff? The January 6th? January 6th should have been something, but never was. Do you think this is a possibility where we may start to take this back and start to move in the right direction again?
I do. Yeah. In fact, we already are taking it back just based on my boots on the ground conversations that I'm having in virtually every state. I'm having conversations all the time with leaders and people that are writing affidavits, holding people accountable, almost physically ganking supervisors out of some districts. So there's a lot of great things that are going on. It's just not being published. That being said, you and I have talked about this before, but January 6th was used smartly by the cabal as a psyop. And and Mark kind of touched on this, but I've said this for years. And I said this, as you remember, virtually the day after this. I said, I saw infiltrators when I was there on January 6th.
Yep.
Myself and some other people absolutely unequivocally saved lives. Never got any publicity whatsoever on that. And it's not about patting myself on the back or the Viking or anybody else that was involved, but that's just a fact that just got glossed over, right? But what people have to understand is the District of Columbia is a corporation. Yep. They run under a completely different set of rules than the rest of the United States. Now, are there corrupt judges and judicial systems and attorneys and legislators in other states? Yeah, in every single one. In fact, I might be doing something in Hawaii because there's some major corruption going on there. So yes, there's corruption all over the place. But here's the one thing is you still have something that's called due process. What happened in DC, they completely eliminated due process. Completely. Mm-hmm. There's many people that are in jail that still haven't had their trial, yet they're holding them under a domestic terrorist. Okay, so here's the way it works. They don't publicly say they're holding them under the domestic terrorist law, which is from the Patriot Act, right? But that's exactly what they're doing in the background to justify what they're doing. It's a total corporation. So the psyop that the cabal has perpetrated on us was to scare people like, you are going to be indicted, you're going to be harassed, we're going to go after you. Whatever you do, don't do your protests, right? even Sean Hannity, which I believe is controlled opposition, is involved in this, right?
Yep.
So first thing we need to do, which I've been doing it for years, is we need to teach people the difference between J6 and the rest of the country. Because the rest of the country, we do have due process. And therefore, we must protest. The only reason that they're trying to get you not to protest or not to make your voice heard is because it makes a difference. That's the only reason. The game is, oh, it doesn't make a difference, or you're going to be arrested. It's an absolute lie. It makes a huge difference. We have, in numbers, we always win. And let me just make one more point here, Mike. So to give you an idea, let's recall during COVID in Orange County, California, right? In Orange County, California, what happened? Well, by the way, people don't understand, in 2018 was one of the first tests of ballot harvesting, and it was in Orange County, California, and they installed all these whack jobs on the board of supervisors. So what happened is during COVID, they were trying to get mandatory vaccine passports. That's what they were trying to do. And they were bringing it up to a public hearing and a vote. Between a friend of mine and Lee Dundas and some other people, they actually got over 2,000 people to show up at the Board of Supervisors meeting. Over 1,400 signed up to speak. And they did what I've been trying to train people to do for a long time. They all spoke exactly with the same message over and over and over and over and over. Now, they add their variants and their emotions in the Bible or whatever they wanted to add in there. But it was the same message that we will not have these vaccine passports. So what happened? The Orange County supervisors, who are bought and paid for by the cabal, who are threatened, who are compromised by the cabal, when they got about 700 speakers in, they threw up their hands. They pulled it off the agenda. They tabled it. They never brought it back because we, the people, stood up in their face, because ultimately they're cowards. So what do they have to do, guys? They had to weigh the difference. They're like, okay, are we more afraid of we, the people? Or are we more afraid of going back to our controllers and saying we failed on this? Clearly, we, the people, they had more fear about. So yes, absolutely. We need to stand up and make a difference. And every person makes a difference. Every person.
Wow. Really, both of you brought up some really good points, especially about DC not being part of the United States. So we need to all be cognizant of that going forward. So doing our constitutional right, peacefully protesting can be done anywhere else in the United States but Washington, D.C., as we found out the hard way. All right. So, and laws are created there, whatever, but laws coming back at us at our own states, in our own counties and stuff like that, that can be resisted at the county and state level and can be pushed back, as we're going to find out. Because this is where we're going. This is where we're going to go forward from here. Now, one of the things we're going to do is go down to the different borders. We're going to Texas, Arizona, California. Now, Mark, tell us what happened with this flyer. Now, let me show everybody this flyer real quick. We were talking last night, and you were talking about how this flyer ended up on somebody's desk, and they decided to start to do something. What was that?
So from what we understand, that this flyer made it to Abbott's desk the day before he decided to close the border and do what he's doing there currently.
Mm-hmm.
Did it make the difference? Well, it's possible. I mean, when you've got as much going on in Texas, let me just tell you, Texas is a different breed of people altogether. They're a rock. Obviously, I spent a lot of time in Texas, and these, Texans are, they're tough people. And when you got a tough crowd, and you've got people demanding, and then you've got the oversight of things, and then you get a letter saying, "Hey, everybody's coming here." I think all the combinations between all of it engaged for him to do what he did, and everybody can go and you can put a link up, Michael, and it gives all the information about what we're doing, where things are going off, how they can get involved, where they can contribute to. If they can't come, they can donate to it. It's all right there on the site. Listen, there's so many moving parts. There's people that's worked countless hours. And trust me, me and Lewis know what those countless hours are. We've done it plenty, and we're getting there. And this thing's going to be epic. When I say epic, I mean epic. Look, we got people reaching out from Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Australia, Canada, all over, giving us support.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I love this. When I read this, I'm like, I'm doing this. These lines right here is what convinced me I'm going to be here. Peaceful protest, calling all active and retired law enforcement and military, veterans, mama bears, elected officials, business owners, ranchers, truckers, bikers, media, and law-abiding, freedom-loving Americans. When I read that, it almost brought tears to my eyes. I was like, finally, somebody got this together. So outstanding job of putting this together. Now, what made this all come together? What started this?
That is the most perfect story. So, God, it's all in God's timing. You know, that's what I was getting into earlier when Lewis come in. You know, we can do whatever we want to do, but if it's not in God's timing, it's not right, right? So it manifested by the Spirit of God. That's what moved this movement into play. It was His timing. Okay, and I think right before this convoy uh, ends, and we all unify in those locations, whether right before or right after, I believe we're going to see some big change or things hitting people's desks that they didn't think were possible, because this is in God's timing. This is not in our timing. This is what President Trump talked about. We, the people, coming together. He gave it back to us. He said it multiple times. He gave it back to us, and it's for us to take.
Right. Very good. And when I look at this, it's not about any president. It's not about any political party.
Nope.
It's law-abiding citizens, wanting their freedoms back. And our freedoms have been stolen massively over the last several years. And there's threats that more is coming. So this is one of the things that we need to push back. So, Lewis, you have been teaching people, almost like you've gone around the country doing events, teaching people how to take our country back. Tell us a little bit about that and how you feel this could be a great event.
Yeah, this will be a great event, and the key is for me at least is for my goal is to get people to understand that we the people hold all the power. We've just been propagandized MK Ultra. We've been convinced that we don't. Great example is go back to the J6 thing. There's about 2 million people there. 2 million. Less than 0.1% got arrested, and 90% of those did enter the Capitol. Not saying the rest is justified. I'm just saying. So we have to look back on the accountability and say, okay, here's what's really going on. So even if the whole country was like DC, less than 0.1% will be subject to this type of thing, and you would have to take an extra step to get there. These are the things pragmatically I try to teach people so we can get away from this grand psyop that we're under, right? So yes, absolutely. The first thing I try to do is the whole team, we try to empower people to understand that we actually do have all the power. And there's tremendous amount of people. I just got off the phone with one of my favorite warriors out there, Leslie Shepard, which Mark knows. And Leslie goes right in and takes it to him. In fact, to give you an example, the reason why she contacted me today is because I put out a video a long time ago saying the what was it called? Oh, I forgot. The Patriots will inherit the earth or something like that. The point is, it was explaining how meek is manipulated. The word meek outside of the Bible means nothing that it says within the Bible. And she had somebody that's been indoctrinated in a religion for several decades. And she got me on the phone with her. She goes, "Can you explain meek?" So I explained meek and how the cabal has taken that outside of the Bible and used it to make everybody go like this. But I'm sorry, Jesus called himself meek. Do you think Jesus is meek? Are you kidding me? Of course, Jesus is not meek. Not in the reference that we thought, which means docile and relaxed. Jesus was flipping over tables. He was in the face of some people when he was teaching them, right? And he stood up for those that can't stand up for themselves. If we remember the words in regards to the prostitute at the well, right? He always stood up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. By the way, that's what meek means. If you look at the origins of meek, it talks about you having the inner strength to help people that can't help themselves. That's the true meaning of meek. So that's how deep this indoctrination goes. So we have to break out of this construct that we've been manipulated by the churches, by the Sean Hannitys of the world that said you're despicable if you go protest or if you boycott. Well, that's a total psyop, people. That's what it is. So yes, sorry to go so long-winded, but I'm very passionate about this because we need to break down the construct that people have in order to rebuild them faith in themselves and in God, in my opinion.
Very good. Very good.
And Michael, let me add something to that.
Mhm.
That's why the Bible says the meek shall inherit the earth.
Right.
Definitely. Yes. So I want everybody to know that this is takeourborderback.com. Takeourborderback.com. And then once you get to that site, it's got all the information on it. Now, there's also for each area, Texas, let's say Texas, for instance, Arizona, California. I'm going to just click on the Twitter account so you can go to the Twitter, and then it has more information, and more information will be released as time goes on. So lots of information here that you can go in and start to get familiar with. If you want to get involved, there's like times where people are going to meet, different locations. If you're drawn to a particular location like California, Arizona, or Texas, there's different rallies on the February 3rd. And there's also, if you want to go the whole convoy, it starts January 29th on Monday in Virginia Beach, and then goes down to Jacksonville, Florida for overnight, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then Dripping Springs, Texas. From Dripping Springs, there's Austin, Texas Capitol Rally on the 1st, and then from Dripping Springs to Eagle Pass, or if you're going to one of the other locations, you're heading out to Las Cruces, Yuma, or San Ysidro, San Diego. So how were these places chosen? And tell us about the background, who's going to be involved as far as like, you were mentioning to me, there's going to be guys that are, detective detail type stuff, lawyers, sheriffs and everything. Tell us a little bit about that.
So obviously, I want to protect the people, as much as I can. I mean, I can't be responsible for them, but I have to do my due diligence and making sure that the sheriffs, the police, the people that are on the stage that are going to be speaking. Now, there will be some entertainers that are going to come that are going to shock a lot of people that are involved. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of intricate details that have not been put on there, and that's only for security reasons. And they will be put on right towards the last, but not at the last. So we're kind of holding back details for reasons because we have inside intel. So if everybody will just stay tuned, figure out where they want to go, keep checking the site, be ready to go, and understand how long it takes to get to those places, those will update with all the information that they need, where it's going to locate, where everybody's going to gather to, how, when, where. It'll all be in there, Michael. But there's certain things we can't put in there as of this second, for good reasons. But the way the locations were figured out was where we had the most law enforcement on board, and that's how we chose the locations that we did. We have been in contact with all local law enforcement, like I said, in these counties and cities, and we have a huge support mechanisms in these counties and cities. So, and we're right dead in the heart of a lot of this. So, it's, it's taken a lot of methodical thought to put these places together, but we've got a great team.
So how many people do you think could show up to these events?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, but for thousands. I mean, thousands and thousands. I mean, listen, if you take 500 cars and put them down the highway, that's huge. You take 1,000, put them down a highway, that's even bigger. You take 2,500 at each location, that is huge. And this thing, listen, it's up to God. I mean, look, the good part about this is, so that everybody knows, and I'm sharing it on your show the first time. This ain't going to be our only event. You're going to do it, or we're going to come back every single month and a half to 2 months and do the same thing over and over and over. And it's going to build and build and build to the point you have no choice but to shut those borders down, because we, the people, are going to take it back.
Ah, brilliant, brilliant. I love that. So what are your thoughts, Lewis?
Well, first, just proof that we, the people, have all the power. The farmers got together in Germany and to protest the taxes that they were going to implement on them. And after pouring manure all over the place and doing what they did, the government retracted and said, we will not be taxing Germany. I don't know if that's breaking news here, but that's new news, which is pretty awesome. It's just more proof that we, the people, have all the power. We just need to stand up in force and take care of it. I think we should make a note that the locations that were listed there, other than the main three, were meeting points during the convoy, but you can create your own convoy from wherever you are in the country and then meet up wherever this convoy is. And I know they have the Twitter. I'm sure they'll have the Facebook with the updates and all that stuff. So you'll always know where this is, so you guys can meet up with it. So don't think because you're not near one of those, you can't do it. No, you get 5 people, get 10 people, get 2 people heading down there with your American flags and start heading down, and you're going to get more people to add on to. And just everybody needs to put it, hey, here's where I am, and you watch. It'll build and build and build around the country. Now, here's what's very important. And so I want to give props to Mark and his team really quick, right? And Mark knows this because I've had private conversations with him, but I'll say publicly that I said I would not be involved as a consultant, and that's all I really am. I'm not part of the main team that's doing all the work. I'm just going to consultant unless there were certain parameters that would protect the messaging, we the people, and make this event successful. And so far, Mark's hitting on all of those,
right,
which makes me very, very excited. So therefore, I put my name and the force of the messaging behind it. But we have to understand the power in the people getting together and doing this, because here's the thing: you didn't get on the convoy to DC, and this was an issue I had with the people that started this, and I brought it to their attention before it. You didn't get the attention that you wanted because they were counting on the mainstream media to give them the attention, right? And I said that was a mistake. I laid out a plan, and I said, how could you make this happen? Laid it out to them, and I got a lot of people to buy in. They said, this is perfect, this will work. And that was to go into your local capitals all around the country and then do your protests. Very similar to what Mark and the team are doing here. So they're bringing people from all of these different areas to 3 locations and stops in the way. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of local media attention. You may not get CNN. Why would you care? Right? It wouldn't matter anyways. You're not going to get MSNBC but unless they do the following. And this is what I said was really important for me. And this is why I think Mark is asking me for my consultation on this, because I brought up from the beginning, I go, be aware that you will have infiltrators throughout this whole thing. And their goal is to make you look like a bunch of racist rednecks. That's what they're going to try to do.
Yep.
And then they're going to take that messaging to destroy, because nobody's going to be one associated with a racist. They will bring Nazi flags, with swastikas. You watch this. This is what's so. The key is that all the patriots that are going to this event need to be aware of what they're trying to do, and we need to shut that down. If somebody is having abusive language towards an illegal coming across the border, we need to shut that down. Right? Very, very important. And I've also recommended, and I know Mark is going with this, that there should be some form of a spokesman at every single location. So at least if somebody gets out of hand and says something wrong, you're like, that's not the official message from Take Our Border Back. So these are the type of things that Mark and his team are working on in the background, which are huge to make this a successful event. And he just recently let me know that he's going to do more in the future, which I'm very, very proud to hear that.
I had a good teacher. So I had a very good teacher. Let me just put it out there. Listen, Michael, you know as well as I do, Lewis is a great teacher.
Absolutely.
I mean, he really and I'm not saying this to blow his head up. He's one of my best friends. He's a great teacher. There's things in the security world that I'm aware of. Lewis has been around things, so there's things that he was aware of. You know, coming into this, you know, God kind of brought me up through the ranks really quick. And that's a story of its own that me and Lewis will cover one day in depth about how God just pulled me right in and just took me straight up. But I knew it as a child where he was going to take me. But it's really truly amazing working with a team that I've worked with Lewis and become part of that family. So I don't do anything, even in the Patriot movement, without consulting Lewis first, because I'm going to tell you, he's honest, he's sincere, he doesn't take any crap. I mean, we're so much alike in so many ways, but so totally opposite in others. But we respect each other, and that's the biggest thing that him and I have is that respect. And I'm going to tell you, he's my biggest supporter in anything that I do moving forward. We, the people, the team. I mean, it's not about, like I said, it has nothing to do with me. It's about the team. It's about the we. There's no head of this. There's no down below. It's we across the playing fields. When you get out and you promote this and you take people to the website and you tell them about it, you become part of the team. Then you become a we. We call it the WOM effect, word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And at the grassroots, that's where all this starts. You know, and that's what Lewis has always taught. It starts from here, from the grassroots, and it goes forward. And so we call it the WOM effect, word of mouth. So when you get it out there and you start speaking about it and you get everybody pumped up, then guess what? Then you can say, I'm part of the we team. And I'm promoting this, and we put it together, and we did this, and we did that, and now we are going to take our country back.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's the way it's got to be. It has to come from we, because DC is not going to do it.
No.
As you said, DC is a corrupt and compromised place, and that doesn't mean that we can't work around that. We can, and we're gonna demonstrate that, and that's the way it has to go going forward. So I'm very, very glad that it's going to be multiple events going forward, and thinking bigger picture. I would recommend that anyone that can come to this one and all the future ones, keep coming. I remember almost a couple of years ago, when this border crisis started blowing up, I was like, I just want to go down there and take my guns down there and just like stand at the border and help out and stop this. And people are like, I'll fly you there. I'll give you guns. I'll help you out. Whatever you need. All these people were coming forward. And I started to think about that. I'm like, I could see doing that and having the FBI roll up on me, with drones and SWAT teams and all kind of stuff. That probably wouldn't work out too good. So I think this is the way to do it. We're doing it peacefully. We're just making a presence on the border, getting the publicity. We are the publicity now. All of us, we can roll out information. We have more views than mainstream media now. So this is going to make a massive difference, I think, going forward. And we'll report on it. It doesn't matter. Like, Lewis was saying, do you really care if CNN shows up? No, we don't. In fact, I hope they don't, because if they show up, they're probably going to spend a disinformation campaign on this. So I'd rather them not come. I'd rather no mainstream media come. None of them.
Let me say behind the scenes, Michael, we have an incredible legal team.
Yeah,
if someone
good.
spins this the wrong way, we're going to spin them right into a courtroom.
Ooh, yeah, that's beautiful.
We're not
Yeah.
taking any shit off any of them.
Yeah, that's good to hear. All right, guys, let's do some last minute things. I want to keep this kind of short so we can get it out there, keep people's attention span and so forth, so I can share it on more platforms. Some of them don't, accept things if there's over certain, time period. So let's wrap it up. This has just been good. It's about 36 minutes here. Let's roll it in for a few more minutes. What's last words that you have, Lewis?
Well, I would say, people, when it's said and done, right? Do you want to be known as the person in the future that left a larger impression in your couch or a larger impression in the world? Which one do you want to be? Do you want to have a legacy where your great grandchildren are going to be saying, look it, my great grandfather or grandmother was operational, took back our country. What a proud story to be told, guys. And that's the group that you're going to be part of when you step up to make a difference. Put your fear aside. That's false evidence appearing real. Put your fear aside, have the courage, step up, and this is it. We have the momentum. We, the people, have the momentum. This is when you can take your country back, right now.
I totally agree. Mark?
Well, I'm not much for, Lewis knows this, I'm not much for cussing, but I've gotten to where this thing gets under my skin so bad that I look around and I look at my fellow neighbors and friends, and when you look out into the open, how many people can you actually look out that's a part of this like we are? I can tell you there's none around me. There's thousands of people out here that have nothing to do with what we're doing or know anything about it. We still haven't reached. And the reach is out there. And if people will get out there and start putting the boots on the ground, starting the WOM effect, we can actually start doing something. Because look, at the end of the day, like Lewis says, if we come together, there ain't nothing we can't accomplish. But we got to be together. We got to be unified. And that's my biggest message, is just we have to unify. And it was one of the first messages that I was ever on Lewis's show. It was unification. That just has to happen. I love you guys. You guys have been in the fight with us from day one, and I'm so proud of my immediate team. And that's you guys. Because I started with you guys in the bigger picture. You guys have made such a difference in this world already. You brought things into light. You've helped. You patrioted forward. You've done what you need to do. But I'm really proud of this we team. These people have spent days and nights without sleep. There was at one point last week I was getting 3 hours a night because there was so much to cover. But our phones are ringing off the hooks. The emails are coming in. Listen, if you can't be a part of it, please donate to it. This is nobody's taking any money from this. It's set up. No one's taking anything. It's going to go right back out into the community, or it's going to come right back into the next convoy. We're not keeping one dime for ourselves or any one person, and that's the way we set it up. And it's been set up legally.
Outstanding. Yeah, there is a donation link. So if you guys want to donate, you can't get there on your own. February 3rd. You guys, everyone that's listening, we have heard over and over again that Trump's coming back. We've heard that there's going to be, this last summer was supposed to be the advertising. People are like, I'm on a team that's going down to Gitmo, and we're going to do trials, and none of it's happened. Now, I don't think that that stuff was put out there to like be mean or anything. I think there probably was something that was going to happen, but maybe it got rolled back. This is something that doesn't have to get rolled back and won't get rolled back, right? And it'll gain momentum over time. And it's something that will make a difference. Just, the flyer showing up on Greg Abbott's desk made a difference, just that. So as a lot of people show up, like Lewis was talking about in Orange County, there were just so many people showed up. We're not going to put up with this. And they were like, you're all right. We're not going to do it. If you roll over and let them do it, they're going to do it. So we have to stand up. We have to take our country back. And this is the way we start it. All right. This is one of the biggest problems we have in our country right now. There's lots of stuff that, we could talk about for hours, and a lot of people already have, of why this is very problematic on many different levels to allow this border to stay open the way it is. All right. So we need to shut it down. We need to get our lazy ass government officials that are probably in on the take and making money on this or whatever's going on. It doesn't matter. We're going to shut it down, and we're going to do it ourselves. All right, guys. Lots of love out there. Go to the site, check out the site, get the information, takeourborderback.com, hit it up and get the information you need. Stay in touch with it and pass it around, get it out to as many people as you can. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. We love you.